Hi, and welcome to another video by Jimthecarguy. Today we have a customer that just dropped their car off. It's a 2002. It's a Subaru, and they're talking about when they drive, their check engine light is illuminated, and when they occasionally accelerate, the light starts to blink pretty quickly. So we're going to take her a spin around the block, see what it feels like, and we're going to scan it and figure out what's going on with it. So come on, let's take a walk. We're going to take a drive. Okay, let's start it up. Okay. Alright, first thing we're going to notice is that there's really not that many miles on the car. It's only got 70,000 plus on there. The check engine light is on, but let's take it for a spin around the block and let's see what it feels like. I can feel it stumbling just a little bit, like a little bit of a shake in the engine. It feels like a misfire in the engine. I can feel the stumble when I accelerate. You probably can't hear it. You can see the lights blinking. That's never good. Whenever you got that light blinking like that, it usually means that there's a misfire. And the misfire is bad enough to actually cause catalytic converter damage. So when the light is blinking like that, you absolutely want to get it into a shop as quick as possible to scan it and see what's going on with it. We are going to go back to the shop right now. We're not going to drive any further. We're just going to find out what that check engine light is all about. So let's get back to the shop and let's connect one of our scanners up and we'll see what's going on. Okay, now we're in it. We're going to see what kind of codes we have. Probably going to be a misfire, I'm sure. Okay, there we go. Cylinder number 3, misfire detected. Now, from experience, I've run into these problems with these cars here when they start to leak through the spark plug tubes. Oil drips down inside the tube and shorts out the cylinder. So let's go underneath the hood and we're going to pull off number 3 and we're going to take a look at it and figure out what's going on with it. So let's go back under the hood. Okay, first thing I want to show you is where the cylinders are actually located. This is the front of the vehicle itself, and number 3 is back over here. That would be on the passenger side rear. So let's go back out to the vehicle. Let's pull that tube out and we're going to take a look at it and see. Okay, I know it's going to be a little tough for you to see what I'm doing down here, but number 3 is down in the bottom over here. I'll pull this out and then I'll show you what it looks like. You see that oil on that dipstick? I mean on the, hang on. Okay, you see the oil on this extension here? Oil gets in here and it shorts out that one cylinder. I don't think we're going to be able to see in there, but you may be able to see it a little bit. You see down inside there, the spark plug tube itself? I don't know if you can see the oil in that tube right there, but there's actually quite a bit of oil inside that spark plug tube. Let's pull off a couple of more and let's see what they look like also. We're going to put this one back in here for now because we do have to move the car. I'm going to put you down for a second. First spark plug here. And you can see again, there's oil in here. And if it's true to form, it's going to be the exact same thing. on the other side too, so let's take a look at that. This is the other spark plug tube here. Now these aren't as bad as the other side. There's just a little bit of oil on these, but obviously when we change these, we're going to change them all. So all right, let's make a phone call to the customer. And well, that's a pretty clean cut. Gotta make sure my light's off. Well, that's a pretty clean cut problem. Most of these Subarus, after a period of time, they do start to leak oil down inside the dipstick tube itself. If you could see in there a little bit clearer, you'd notice that the tube itself is actually pretty full of oil. So we are going to make a phone call now, get some prices, call the customer. We're going to recommend doing valve cover gaskets left and right side. We are going to change the grommets around the spark plug tube. We're going to change the plugs, and we are going to change the wires. Once oil gets into spark plug wires, you never want to try to clean them and reuse them. Just put a new set of wires on there, avoid a problem. Worst thing you can possibly do is get that check engine light blinking, and you're causing a misfire that's bad enough to destroy the catalytic converter, and you do not want to change a catalytic converter. All right, so let's make some phone calls, talk to the customer, and we'll see what we're going to do. So, all right, to be continued. All right, let's make a phone call to the parts store and get some prices. Mark, how you doing, Jim? J&S? Hey, 2002 Subaru Outback station wagon that makes any difference with a 2.5 liter engine. Can I get a price on the plugs, the wires, and the valve cover gaskets, please? Thank you. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, you stock everything? Okay. All right, you know what, when you send it up to me, I'm 99% sure the customer's going to say go ahead and do it anyway, so send it down. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye. I get a million telemarketers a day calling. This one is from California, is probably Hollywood calling. Oh, they hung up. All right, let me call the customer and work out a number, and we'll come right back. Okay, call the customer, and of course the customer said just go ahead and do it because they don't want to take a chance on doing any damage on it. So let's put my gloves on, let's get outside, and let's get started, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so come on, let's go back outside and get to work. All right, I just want to show you what that spark plug tube looks like. See how it has all of the oil inside there? When you pull that plug out, you'll notice that it's covered in oil. So, all right, let's, I'm going to get this side done, and then we'll go to the other side, and I'll show you how to do the other side. Because as you can see, this side over here is fairly open, where this side here is a little bit tighter. So I will film the side that's a little more difficult to do. So, all right, let me get the other side done, and we'll come right back. What we're going to do here is, this is the tools that we're going to need to actually do the job. We're basically going to need a set of sockets. Mainly we're going to need 10 millimeter and probably a 12 millimeter, a ratchet, a long extension, a couple of screwdrivers, a tool to take out the spark plugs, and just a couple of 10 millimeter wrenches. All right. These are the new ones, obviously. These are the spark plug tube seals that I'm telling you about. What happens is the valve cover sits up against this here, and it keeps oil from going down into the spark plug tube. This is the problem with this car. It also is leaking oil underneath the vehicle too, so you know, it's twofold. We're going to change the valve cover gasket itself. We're going to change the seals for the dipstick, for the spark plug tube, and of course we're going to continue with our tune-up. I will point this out before you get started. Make sure you go underneath the vehicle and put a piece of cardboard or plastic or something underneath there, because as soon as you take that valve cover off, all that oil that's laying up inside this cover here is going to drip down all over the engine and down onto the floor. So, all right, let's get set up and we're going to get started here. And first thing I'm going to do is we're going to remove the battery so we can take this out of here so we have a little more room to work. We also going to relocate this box out of the way here so we can slide everything out and out of the way. All right, so all right, let me get some tools and let's get started. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the battery. And the way we're going to do that is, as you can see, there's a lot of corrosion on here. I will clean this up later on, but for now we're just going to let it go, and we'll come back to that. We are going to clean this up, but for now we're just going to spray it so we can disconnect it. Remember, you always want to disconnect your negative cable first, and positive comes off later on. I can say this now, I'm surprised. I thought sure this was going to really be a problem getting this off of here, but it wasn't. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of oxidation on here, or corrosion I should say. I'll put a link to a video that I have about how to clean this off of here, but for now we're just going to put this off to the side. I'd like to use a socket, but it was a little bit tight getting in there. So we're just going to do this, put this back on now, and we'll take this off. Use our puller to get the battery terminal end off. And we'll take our battery out of here. Gives us a little bit more room in here to work. Not much, but a little bit. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull off the we're going to pull off the spark plug cables. You're going to open up these, we're going to open up the holder that holds these cables in place so we can pull these out. And that should be good for now. Take these out. See what I mean about the oil? It's all over inside here. Now we are going to change these cables. It really doesn't matter, but I don't want to make a mess on the customer's car underneath the hood here if we can get away with it. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, I'm going to bring you in there, maybe you can see a little bit better here. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to attempt to leave this in here. Maybe we don't have to take it out. We'll see how it goes. We're going to take off this hose right here that goes up to the air breather. You just squeeze the clamp, pull it together. Now be careful, because when these hoses get older, they get brittle. So don't go crazy pulling on it. Just keep constant pressure, and it'll pull right off without breaking it, hopefully. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this cover off right here. This cover covers up the injectors. So we're going to take this out so we have enough room to get that valve cover up and out of there. These are 12 millimeter screws. So we'll just take these out and we'll relocate that cover off to the side. We'll put this off to the side for now, and I'm going to attempt to leave the oil fill on there. We'll see how it goes though. All right, then we're going to take out all of the 10 millimeter bolts that hold the cover in place. Now that bolt is a pain in the rear end. Okay. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to get in here with a screwdriver, and you just pry very little on the cover, and it should pop right off. All right, be careful, because it is going to leak oil. I thought I was leaving that tube in, I'm not. It's 10 millimeter, we just unscrew the tube, and we'll take it out. Just put this off to the side for now. And now we can continue trying to get that cover out of there. I'm going to change my gloves and we'll come right back. Okay, before I go any further with this too, I just want to mention to you, I did unbolt the fuel rail so I could get this cover out of here. This cover is a real pain in the rear end to get out of here. I did have to unbolt the fuel rail and pull it up and out of the way. All right, so now we're going to take this valve cover out of here. And believe me, I know that this cover is a pain to get out of here. See what I mean about being a real pain in the ass to get out? Well, we'll see how we're going to get it back in now. All right, let me bring you in now, show you what the problem was. These seals right here leak. So we're just going to replace these seals, and we are, of course, going to change this gasket right here too. Okay. All right, so that's that. All right, we're going to take this over to the sink now. We're going to wash it up in the tank, and then we'll come back and we're going to hopefully get this thing back together. I will say this, there's going to be some editing involved with this tape because lots of four-letter words were used here. So, all right, let me clean it up, and we'll come back. Okay, now that we have everything all cleaned up, we put our new gasket inside here. We put our new seals on the end of the dipstick, on the end of the spark plug tubes. We did change the plugs, just so you know. And now we're going to put this cover back inside there. It is a pain in the rear end, but be careful you don't damage this gasket right here when you're putting it back in. This valve cover is a real pain in the rear end. I just want to make sure you didn't damage the gasket now. Alright, now before I go any further, I'm going to put that bolt in that back corner because it's tight in that corner when the cover's in place. So we're just going to put the bolt in the cover for now. We're not going to screw it in, we're just putting it in place for now. And we're going to make sure our two grommets are back on top right there where they always were. Put the cover back in, and then we're going to catch a couple of the bolts up top right here. We're just going to screw them in by hand for now. I got to take a break. Okay, we're just going to catch these bolts loosely. Okay, now that we have them all caught, with the last one, make sure everything is nice and tight again. That is tight. Okay. All right. Valve covers. Sorry about that. Some days I actually hate that telephone. Today's one of them days. All right. Now that we got the valve cover back on, we're going to put the fuel injection rail back down where it belongs. Remember I told you before I took that rail off, so we're going to push that back down where it belongs. And we'll put the 2 bolts back in the rail that we took out. Remember, everything you do by hand until you get it caught. Once you got it caught by hand, then you obviously can use your ratchet to tighten it in. But everything is by hand initially. Okay, fuel rail's reconnected now. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to plug our injectors back in and listen for that snap. Okay, we're going to reconnect all of these sensors that we previously disconnected, except for this one right here, because we need to put that bolt back on for the fuel injection rail. And this one we'll put on later on. And we're going to reconnect our hose right here that was previously taken off. Just push it down over the top like that. Put your clamp back down in place where it came off. And we're going to reinstall our tube. Remember, they were the small 10 millimeters. Remember, everything is caught by hand before you tighten it up with the ratchet. And we'll tighten up that tube. It's only 10 millimeters, so be careful. Don't over tighten it and break it. Just snug. Alright. Next thing we're going to do is put our injector cover back over the top. And then we catch all of the bolts. Before we tighten any one up, we make sure they're all in there first. One second, be right there. Screw it as far as you can by hand all the way in. And last but not least, we're going to plug in that last sensor here. And that's it. All right, let me just bring you in there. I'm going to go through it with you. Okay. Now that we have everything back in there, okay, we have all of our plugs plugged back in here. We have our oil fill tube on. We have our cover back over the injectors. The injector is tightened up below it. The vent hose is on the valve cover. We're going to continue with our tune-up now, but we're going to stop here. And that's it. All right, valve cover, all the bolts are now tight. And that's it, you're good to go. Okay, so now we have to have the valve cover tight. You have the vent here is actually back on. Your clamp is in place. Your injector cover is back on. Your injectors are plugged in and tightened up. Your oil dipstick tube is reconnected. All of your bolts are tight that hold the injector cover on there. All your sensors are plugged back in. And that's it. We're just going to finish the tune-up now. And then we'll put the battery back in and we're going to clean that battery up and wrap this job up. All right, as always, thanks for watching. Any questions or comments, you send me an email. I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody about anything. As always, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.